it's all about the experience that we gained, like the initial 5 years of a career.
We learn more outside of the classroom in college than what we learn in the classroom, which is the peer-to-peer learning.
When I used to have this mentor sessions, I'm associated with Scalar from last 3 years now. And most of the students are after engineering only or experienced candidates. And when I am giving tips to them, and when I also realized that if I have given these tips to maybe a first year, second year student, they could have approached this or got this opportunity way back 3-4 years. So it definitely will help.
Hello, welcome to the new episode of Tech Talk with Scalar School of Technology. We have the Mentors Edition live today. So welcome Meena, welcome Gaurav.
Thank you.
I will go ahead with, let you to introduce yourself. Maybe we start with Meena.
Yeah. Hey, hi, Abhimanyu. So, I am Meena. Like, I come with around 16 years of experience in the IT industry. And during my 16 years of experience, I've worked with various domains and I've gained a lot of knowledge around it. And I've worked on multiple technologies like front end, back end, and on the leadership roles and so on. So currently I'm working in Oracle as a senior engineering manager for OCI.
Super. Gaurav, let's go with your introduction next.
Hi, I'm Gaurav. I graduated in 2013. I have total 10 years of experience. I started my career with Cisco Systems. I worked there for 1 year and 10 months on networking domain. Then I moved to Flipkart. There I worked in majorly 2 teams. One is in supply chain, which is in the warehouse industry. Then I moved to trust and safety, working in fraud detection happening on Flipkart platform. Then I moved to Microsoft. I worked there for 1.5 years. I switched to mobile development. I led the iOS team there. And currently I'm working with Amazon from last 1 year in fixing and finding problems in the Amazon catalog so that to make the customer and the seller experience better.
Awesome. So you have basically helped 2 of the India's largest e-commerce player, both Flipkart and Amazon, build the technology. Amazing. So I see another very good diversity here, that you are working as an architect, focusing on deep tech, building the system, large scale system architectures. And Meena, you are doing engineering management, managing a team of people, kind of thinking about their growth and their overall delivery of the entire team. Superb. So, Gaurav, let's talk about your career journey. If we go back, when you graduated, you took up the first job, how your career journey and progression have been in the 10 years?
So from second year onwards, till second year, I have no clue where to go, whether to choose corporate life or research side. So what I used to do is find out seniors and having their experience, how they are deciding. That was also not helping much. So I thought of let's give a try to both. So I approached a lot of professors in industry, in colleges, and I got in IIIT Delhi. So I went for a 2 months internship for a research experience. And luckily, I also got an internship in Cisco Systems for summer internship for 2 months. So there, it helped me to actually choose whether to proceed with the corporate life or go in the research, basically either do MTech, PhD, or in the teaching line. So I like the corporate life by seeing working at the Cisco. And then it's all started, and then I keep on changing companies, domains, technologies.
I think that's a very interesting point, that you were lucky enough that during your college days, you were able to get an exposure at Cisco, which, as you said, helped you decide. Because it's often, for majority of the people in Indian higher education system, what I see is that until we have graduated, we never even get a chance to understand that what exactly is industry about.
Correct.
And hence our decisions and choices are more driven by either advice of someone who doesn't know it themselves, or more of just the beliefs, rather than being able to make better decisions. And I think that it's super important that the sooner during our higher education itself, we get, if students get exposure to the real industry, and then basically learn those things and then make their decisions basis that experience. I think you were super lucky that you had that choice, because if that had not happened, your entire life trajectory might have been very, very different. Right. Coming to you, Meena, we were just talking about very interesting journey that you had, that you did BSc from PSG in Coimbatore back in 2007, almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
How have your journey been? And particularly, I think one particular point, in India, we generally give too much focus on what degree you have. So did you ever feel in your 15 years of journey, all the way starting as a probably programmer at Wipro and then becoming a tech leader at Oracle, companies like Oracle and Adobe, which are pretty cutting edge, did you ever feel that your BSc had any impact, negative impact on your career?
Not really. Like it did, from the curriculum's perspective, it did add on value, but like it did not create any negative impact. So like I believe mostly, like, you know, it's all about the experience that we gain, like the initial 5 years of a career,
Right.
what we choose and what we do, like that mainly helped in growing up first. And like as and when the projects that we are getting and the role that we are doing in the first 5 years plays a base.
So basically, what kind of projects you have built, what kind of tech stacks you have knowledge of, what kind of real things that you can build in the industry?
Okay. In my first 5 years of career, I worked on almost all technologies. So because that's when like you get into a IT industry as a fresher, right? So I started my career as a Java developer. I did functional test, I did like web application, and I have worked on projects like wherein we have to develop a mobile application for iPhone and BlackBerry. So almost like, and I've also contributed in the RFID related part. So I've also almost
wide
touched
exposure to,
wide exposure
right.
in the first 5 years, wherein like you could say, like, you know, I was able to get to know on what exactly is the things where in each of these fields.
Right. Gaurav, like a related question to you. Given you have worked across, you know, almost all the companies which are dream companies of many in the world, actually, not just India, Amazon, Microsoft, Flipkart is one of the most respected company in India, Cisco. When hiring, did you feel, and I'm sure in this period you would have hired so many engineers in your team, right? Did you feel that the degree or the branch, etc., plays any role in the hiring decision?
Not at all. I myself keep me very focused that I should not be biased that if a candidate is from IIT, I should go slow or should not lose the hope. Or if a student is not from a good college, I should leave last 10 minutes of the interview just like that he might not perform. That all things I prefer not to think about that. And I have worked with a lot of people of different pointers, 6 to 9 pointers of different engineering also, not even computer science, mechanical. And I did not faced anything that they are finding difficult to cope up, even if they are coming from different backgrounds. It's a diversity which they bring in. It's all depend their attitude and mindset with which they are going.
I think actually most of the larger companies also have a training program, right? I think, Meena, you were talking about that as a fresher when you joined Wipro, there was a training program that you were put through. Can you tell us about that? What did you learn in that training program? And also a little bit of why is that training program even needed? If we have, you know, done like a computer science education for 3-4 years already, why do these companies have to build this training program in the first place? So
like when I joined Wipro, there was a 3 months training. So that was basically for anyone to become an industry ready. Like basically, so their concentration was more on the technologies like in which their projects were based upon. So that is basically they wanted to bring in, like, once they are done with those technologies and the trainings, if they are able to clear it out, they'll be able to perform well in the projects, because like the project placement will be done only after the training is over.
Right.
So we never know who is going to be placed in which project. So they are just making sure that they are well aware of all these technologies,
right,
so that if they get placed in any of these projects, and they'll be able to balance it. So that's the intent. And if you ask me like why those 3 months training is required, in the 3 years of college, like whatever we go through, or 4 years of college, whatever we go through, we do have these technologies. But like, yeah, for each semester, like it was concentrated on those, and the next semester comes in, and like eventually it goes on. But when it comes to this industry-based training, which is required to make us ready, they are concentrated mostly on the real-time coding part.
Correct.
So which actually helps in the people's real-time experience, and they will not have much hurdles in doing it.
Right. So basically, as you said, that while some of these topics that were taught in the training might have been present even in the college.
Yeah.
But there was not much practical application or
in-depth knowledge would be provided, like because they are targeting that particular technology.
Right. And if we further think about that, what causes that? That why is it that just in 3 months these companies in the training are able to impart things at a depth with which students are then able to perform well in the projects, but even after 3-4 years in the college we probably are not capable enough to do that. Like, did you see, like, I'm sure that today when you might be involved with the trainings at your companies, what difference do you see? That is it a difference in trainers, is it a difference in curriculum?
It's not like that. Like during this couldn't have been there also, but like what happens is, like during this 3 years, 4 years course, few people take it serious and few people take it light. So people whoever has taken it serious and studied well, this is going to be just a refresher. Yeah. And for people who haven't haven't taken it serious or taken it light, for them it will be a real thing wherein they can use this as an opportunity and learn.
Makes sense. You also talked about the practical aspect, that there they would emphasize that it has to be real-time application of whatever you are learning. Did you feel that the practical aspect of learning concept is missing in the college education?
During my days, to a certain extent, yes, because we do have labs, but that labs will be like mostly concentrated on certain things, right. Not like the real-time cases or something. We do have projects which will be a real-time scenario which we will pick it up, but that's only in the last semester. So, but over the 2.5 years or 3 years, what you do will be like, we have to concentrate more. Right. And it again depends on each person, like how well they take it up.
Right. Gaurav, coming to you, during your education when you might have been in college, apart from, let's say, the curriculum and what you might have learned, as we often talk about that we learn more outside of the classroom in college than what we learn in the classroom, which is the peer-to-peer learning, guidance from the seniors. So can you tell us about that how did that help you build better skills?
So I targeted for corporate after second year, and I started backwards from it, how to achieve that. And what problem I faced is the lack of awareness and lack of resources. The things which are covered in our course are not enough to crack those company interviews. So it's all about unorganized, unstructured Google groups or some documents which we get from other colleges and mostly from the seniors. And when I went for internship in IIIT Delhi, I've interacted with a lot of IIIT students and other students who came there for internship from NSIT and other nearby colleges. Yeah. From there, I realized they have a very good structured material. They have a good pool of questions which are generally asked. So that helped me a lot. So I have to outsource a lot of things from other colleges and seniors and combine that. So that is one big gap I see in this, because our curriculum is more focused on fundamentals of engineering. They are also not very focused on hiring or cracking the interviews.
Right. And as you said that at IIIT Delhi or during your internship, you were able to get exposure to more people who probably were better exposed to the corporate world, right? And I think that's super important. Because what kind of people we are surrounded by, that to quite an extent shape what we end up doing as well. And I think even at Skiller School of Technology, that have been one of the core mantra, that the quality of the students who become part of this institute, if that average quality is higher, then everyone probably would end up doing so much better. But if that average quality goes down, then and that's the reason probably why we see a lot of students at not so great engineering colleges not being able to perform that well, because they do not have that environment. Superb. Can you tell us about guidance from some of your seniors? How might that have helped?
So guidance from seniors was the major key role, and that helped a lot to crack the interviews, their experience. They used to give us mock interviews also. Even seniors from other colleges also helped. They also helped to give mock interviews. They used to share the experience they have, what not to tell, what to approach, how, if you are stuck in a problem, how they plan to uncover the solutions, how to handle the hints. So they guided a lot. And also the resources, which was lacking majorly. Because the companies are asking the coding which is at quite higher level than what we used to study in the college. So that is more of a competitive coding which was missing.
Right. Actually, I can relate with that so much as well, because in a way me and Anshuman, we ended up building the company together because we went to college together.
Oh, that's nice.
So we were in the same batch, We used to, in the hostel, our rooms were right next to each other. Even in like first year, second year, third year of the college, we were building projects together. Actually, we built a startup when we were in college as well. Although, of course, we were young and stupid, more than what we are today. So we couldn't execute it that well. So that's not a large company anymore. Like after college, we had to kind of shut it down. But still, I think that pull to build something high impact, and even being able to come across such people with who you can build bigger things, take bigger leaps of faith, and do things. So I think that's a super important part of a college experience. I remember we had back in 2008, we had built a system like today. While that IoT and being able to control your devices from your mobile is not something very fascinating, but that is the startup that we had built when we were in college back, which is almost 15 years back. And yes, I think I could only do that because of the high quality peer group. Superb.
Ideally, we'll be motivated to do that, like when we have such kind of peers.
That's right. That, like having a residential campus where you just live there, you're surrounded by all smart kids, who think alike. You have people around you with who you can have constructive, challenging conversations late in the night, early in the morning. And that was also one of the inputs. So recently I was speaking to a parent who is from Bangalore itself. And the question was that why is this a fully residential campus? Like if we are from Bangalore, why can't the student, let's say, come in the morning and leave? And my answer was that because, then this doesn't happen. Like, did you guys study in hostel or like when?
No, I'm a day scholar.
You were a day scholar. Did you feel there was anything missing when you were going to college?
No. I was at my home with my parents, so I felt good.
Right. But your friends did you have friends who were, did you ask them that what do they do after, classes in the hostels?
Yeah, they used to have a good time together.
Right. I think that's very interesting because I'm sure that if I had gone to a college which was in the same city as where my parents were, I'm sure my preference would have been I'll stay at home, right? Yeah. Because of course, home food, the comforts of home.
Mostly if it is from the same city, we would.
Right, it's pretty hard. But on the flip side, when we were at IIIT Hyderabad, so IIIT Hyderabad had the same thing, that even if you are from Hyderabad, but you have to live in the hostel. In general, just because the intensity of the curriculum, etc., is so much that there might be even classes at 6 or 7 in the night, there might be lab sessions at 8 in the night. So they emphasize that you have to stay in the hostel. In the hindsight that at least I see, that was one of the best things that happened. How about you? Did you stay in a hostel?
I was a day scholar, but I will say I enjoyed the whole hostel life. I used to reach, not office, the college at 8 a.m. and leave by 8 p.m. And my parents were always wondering, you have only 3 or 4 lectures, then what the hell you are doing there? So it's all about the fun we have after classes, between classes, bunk classes, and do a lot of stuff.
Right. So you were one of those who do not live in hostel, but live in hostel.
So it's a pseudo hostler.
Pseudo hostel. No, and I think you're right that not just fun, it also have, now if I look back, it has a lot of tangible value as well. The kind of discussions you can have with your peers, which are unbounded, which are not curriculum driven, the kind of debates you can have.
Startup ideas.
Startup ideas that you could build. Right. And that serendipity, you cannot plan for that. You cannot conduct a class for that in this class we will think about what startup we can build. Yeah. But that could happen in a hostel room or in a lobby where you are just sitting and chit-chatting and having debates.
Now I sometimes remember that I was the branch closer from my college. I was the last who closed in the counseling, and I was the first one to get placed. So that whole journey was very exciting and very motivating when I came to know that now I'm going into a college where I'm the last in this branch. I'm going to work with so many smart people. And when I got internship opportunities, more people who are having better engineering ranks in IIT, NSIT, Triple IT have worked in an internship there. So that was a good motivation. So it all depends on the environment and the surroundings which we get.
No, as you said that you might have had the last rank, but just because you were surrounded by so many people who are, pretty hardworking, and that ended up probably shaping you as well, right? Fascinating. No, I think it's great. I think one of the reasons why Scalar School of Technology might be so much better than the traditional way of higher education. One biggest lever I see is that having access to mentors, right? Like people who have been through the journey, they know what were the great parts of that journey, but also know what parts could have been so much better. And being like, as we say that learning from doing is great, and that everyone has to go through, but at the same time being able to learn from people who are ahead of you, having mentors, like, so sometimes our parents play that role, sometimes our elder siblings play that role, but that's a very limited pool, right? My elder siblings or my parents might not have exposure to everything that I want to do in my life already. But I think mentors here at Scalar School of Technology would create so much value that if I already know, even looking back at my own journey, there's so many things that I can think that, if someone had told me that you can rather do this, and this might give you so much more value in your career, that might have changed so many things.
When I used to have this mentor sessions, I'm associated with Scalar from last 3 years now. Right. And most of the students are after engineering only or experienced candidates. And when I am giving tips to them, and when I also realized that if I have given these tips to maybe a first year, second year student, they could have approached this or got this opportunity way back 3-4 years. So it definitely will help.
Now, if I ask you one question, that right now, as you said, that you are mentoring students who are already IT professionals and you are helping them, become the best IT professionals in the industry. If I ask you that, if you can go back in time when you were 17, 18, when you were just joining the college, and let's say that 17-year-old kid, Gaurav, have access to Gaurav of today, or that 17-year-old Meena have access to Meena of today, what would you advise to them, and what could be different?
So first of all, to take less stress and be more sincere. And secondly, fail fast. Don't if the things are going good, don't go in the comfort zone. If things are not working, you have to move out. Don't think too much. Don't wait for some wrong situation to be happened. Take it in a positive way, constructive way, and prepare for the best.
Right. How about you, Meena?
Yeah, so in my case, like, whenever I do mentor folks, like, I feel like, if there was someone like this for me, at the age of 18, or like by the time like I was supposed to step into like what next I can take, like I would have been in a much better position now. Like I am now, but like it would have been in a more better position.
Right. It could have been faster, or
it could have been faster. The pace would have been even more faster than what it is now. So that is one thing which I feel that it was missing, and like so like again like taking, as Gaurav said, like taking it seriously, so that like we don't have wait for one more opportunity to learn again. We can use that opportunity to learn other technologies rather than like putting time on the same thing again and again just because we missed it during the years.
Right. Given we have been talking about Scalar School of Technology with just before the podcast as well, would you consider joining Scalar School of Technology for your engineering education if you were in school?
Of course, if I was at the age of 18.
Definitely, but one thing for sure, I have to convince my parents that this is not a tag college. So
I think that in the 3 Idiots there was this dialogue, right? Abba nahi manenge. Right. Very interesting. Very interesting.
It's like they go with the tags, but there are things which can be achieved even with the small industries which are evolving.
Correct. If I think about that myself, that if I am sitting and speaking with 18-year-old Abhimanyu, or even maybe 16 when I was in school, even I think, like related to what you said, that do not take too much stress about things which might not really matter too much in the long run. So I think, and it's the case with all of us, that when you are in school, majority of people, and I think more so, actually it's pretty much across India, we are over-indexed on that, the competitive exams, that how much did you get in JEE, what rank do you have, which college will you end up at. On the flip side, what I see now is that what matters more is that are you learning consistently? Are you, learning the right things? And not be over-indexed on, sometimes as we call it, more status signals rather than real substance, right? Often we, like at 17, 18 probably I was too over-indexed about, whether I'm getting into extremely reputed college, old college or not. A very interesting thing that happened with me. After school, I joined NIT Nagpur for a branch, whatever branch I could get. I grew up in a very small town, so I didn't know much about that, what different branches are about. Fortunately, after spending just 6 months there, I realized that, like computer science is what really excites me. Mathematics, computer science, building things is what really excites me. And I was able to kind of, like do a small revelation and tell my parents that, see, I'm leaving this. Okay. And it was to quite an extent even if I look back, it's pretty, big decision to leave a reputed college.
Wasn't it tough to convince your parents?
It was tough. It was tough. I remember like in that, kind of conversation I was having with my dad, I had to almost cry that, I can't continue doing this, which I know I'm not going to do in my life. But fortunately, I managed to convince them somehow. And second thing I was fortunate was that then, while at that time I had nothing else in hand, that where am I going to go and study then if I'm leaving this? But fortunately, after 6 months, I could join IIIT Hyderabad. And back in 2005, 2006, while it was a very young college, because it started just in 1998, compared to, let's say, an NIT Nagpur or, older IITs, which have existed for, maybe 50, 100 years as well. But it had very refreshed curriculum. Like in the first year itself, we were directly put into programming, developing things. We had no engineering drawing, we had no mechanical workshop. All of those were removed because if it is a computer science program, it was fully focused in computer science. I'm not sure how it has evolved since then, but at least in 2005-06, it was a fairly refreshed curriculum. Chandrababu Naidu, etc. They had set up these new institutes to kind of, propel the IT growth in Hyderabad. And it was, I think, a pretty good decision for me. To some extent, what I'm advising Abhimanyu as well, to some extent Abhimanyu back then did it, that do not worry too much about whether it's a old college or not, whether it's, that fancy college or not. Focus on what you really want to do and see whether it offers what you want to do or not.
Quality of education also matters.
Yeah. So yes, I think it has been a fascinating journey since then. So that was a fascinating advice to yourself when you were younger. Can you tell us a little bit about the mentees, the learners that you would have mentored over last many years at Scalar? That what has been your approach towards mentorship and how have you seen that transforming career of the learners that you have been guiding?
So I generally start with after discussing more about their day-to-day activities, their company projects, what kind of role they are in, how much time they can give on what days. Because the main problem which I see is people come back is I don't have time, classes are long, or weekends I have family things to take care. So how to manage time? So time management is first thing which we discuss a lot and in detail, and how can you plan a better, not a timetable, but better work-life balance so that you don't stress out or burn out also and still cope up with the Scalar. And to prepare them mentally that this is going to be tough. It is not easy. Otherwise, everyone will go and change the company. You are already doing a job. You have other things to take care, health functions, family functions, and then you have to prepare for this also. So that mindset, we need to first clear it out.
Right. How about you, Meena?
So in general, each of the mentees' case is different. So we have to first understand their case. So understanding their case, we have to come up with a strategy like which would work much better for them. So among the mentees, like whoever I've mentored till now, like I've come across various scenarios. Like one was coping up with the schedule, as Gaurav mentioned. The other is like, in terms of they are stuck. Like say, for example, what they are not sure like on what to do next. Say for example, they do have their project work and they are having a very tough time to achieve it. At the same time, they wanted to manage that as well, plus the scalar sessions and the other stuffs, whatever is associated with it. So when they wanted to do it, like they are looking for things like whatever, like first I hear them like for what they have tried, and so that whatever they have tried, did it work or not? If it has not worked, I give them a different strategy and approach. So then they will follow it, and I'll keep a follow-up session with them to see if it worked for them. If it has not worked for them, then I do a change on that. So likely what we are doing is we are trying to understand basically what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Mostly whatever I've given as a suggestion has worked for them in the first instance itself, and like they have conveyed in the second follow-up that it had worked, and like it is something that which they were looking for. And a few people, like most of them have come across, say like, they are like, they wanted to approach the manager wherein they are looking for a transition, say from an IC to the management side. Like they are more interested towards the managerial end, and they are around 12 to 13 years of experience, and wherein they feel like, whether it is a good move or like what exactly would it impact their career in terms of like in the long run, like when it goes or so. So likewise, like understanding their project, understanding their role and what they are doing in that particular project is something that really matters. So and again, for you to go and ask your manager into a transition phase, we have to prove ourselves. And how do we prove ourselves? And like, proving ourselves in the same role what we are doing will not be sufficient. Like one level higher.
At a level higher
when you start one level higher, you show them that you are eligible, and you can gain confidence, and you will build that trust, and like then the manager will be ready to give that particular position. Right. So those are some things like which I let my mentees know, and like see to make them up to that stage, what all is needed and what they are supposed to do, in what way they're supposed to do. I do tell them everything.
Makes sense. If I also put it on that, if we talk about Scalar School of Technology, where the mentees would be typically, 17, 18-year-old students who are just out of college, out of school, the kind of guidance they would require would be very different from the kind of guidance a working professional require, right? Although few elements remain common. Students, for example, as you talked about, personalization.
Correct.
That mentorship is all about personalization. Every person might have different goals, aspirations in mind. So personalization is one. But if you were mentoring, let's say someone who's just out of school, going through, let's say if you were talking as we were talking about a 17-year-old Gaurav or Meena, and if you were to do, let's say, monthly mentor session with them, what would be your approach for them?
Basically, they are young minds. So it all depends on us. If we mold them rightly, they'll be in a right shape. So we have to first understand, like, first of all, they'll not be aware much on the IT background, how our IT industry works. So we have to let them know how things works.
Give them exposure to the real industry.
How things works here, and like, a few things may not go well also. So they should be prepared for it, and it should not be like, they shouldn't take it as a demotivating factor and get them down. It's all they should think like, okay, if we have failed it now, and that's the next stepping stone. It's all the positive.
As Gaurav was saying, that do not take too much stress.
Yeah,
it's all right.
It's all the positivity that we have to build, and like the learning attitude. So that we have to induce on them, which will help them in shaping up their career.
Yeah, plus one to that, and I think we should connect them with the impact they can create, what they are learning, what it is going to build it. And if we can give them real life examples, even the small things they're doing some binary research, some algorithm they are studying, and they are not, sometimes they find that whether I'm not confident whether I'm going to use it or not in my entire life, and this is so complex. So if we can give that examples and connect with the real time products, that will help them to create that link and move forward along.
No, absolutely, I cannot agree more. Even, for example, in Scalar School of Technology, the approach for curriculum have been that instead of just teaching something, start with what you will build. Correct. And then make sure that in the process of building that thing, they learn every concept in as much depth as possible. So if I draw certain comparisons, that when we studied operating system in college, for example, so it was just very theoretical, that you just have to know that there is memory pagination or there are semaphores, etc. At least I never knew that, where exactly is it used. At the same time, for example, to teach operating system in depth to the kids, the right approach might be that I tell them that you have to build a application server which should probably serve 100 query per second, or maybe a 10,000 query per second, or maybe even more than that. Now, if I need to build a web server which can serve 100,000 queries per second, it's necessary for me to understand the memory management, the multi-threading, the parallelization, all of that. And if I learn it with that, then when I'm learning these things, then I'm not bored, because I know I have to solve this problem. Hence, that is why I have to learn this, and also then practically implement it.
Even I wonder this today, if we just give a production box to college students, that this box is crashing, this website is not coming up, they will learn tons of concept from this small activity only.
But yeah, I think that's something broken with the traditional education system, where we just start with that you learn this. And even if I ask my teacher that, where will it get used? Often I might not find an answer. The answer often might be, you just have to learn it because it will come in the exam. Right? And I think flipping that, I think mentors can play a big role in that. Of course, in School of Technology, we have integrated that thing very deeply in the curriculum as well. That every single thing you are doing will be backed by what you need to build or what you need to fix, and I think learn from that.
So mentoring and coaching would play a vital role, especially for the Scalar School of Technology.
Absolutely, I think that's
one side is the technical sessions, which is still ongoing. Like apart from the club with this, will really help them in growing up their career.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Scalar School of Technology become probably much more high impact process, because it will have mentors like you all.
Yeah, this was something which was missing in our colleges, like when we were doing our colleges. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you, Meena, for joining us for the Tech Talk today.
Thank you, Abhimanyu.
And thank you for all the impact that you have been creating in the lives of the students that you have been mentoring, and you will continue mentoring at Scalar School of Technology.
Thanks again. Thanks, Abhimanyu.
Thank you.